You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. A friend of mine in the UK, that's the United Kingdom, Neil, who goes by UK Neil in our chat rooms on YouTube and on Twitter, he tweeted a video today that is just stupid bizarre. This is out of Australia. This is from, I'm not sure who this person is because they're an Australian government official. It says, Australian Government, Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. So I don't know if this is a trade minister or something from Australia, but a top cabinet official in Australia talking about the risks of climate change in a way that I've never heard described before and don't really quite understand. But maybe you all can make sense of this. Listen to this out of Australia.
We thank the panellists for their insights. As we confront the climate crisis, women and girls' human rights must be at the centre of our collective efforts. Climate change and its consequences can exacerbate the risk of sexual and gender-based violence. This risk is most acute for women and girls facing multiple and intersecting forms of discrimination and inequality, including Indigenous women and girls.
Okay, we'll play the rest of it here in a minute, but she's saying that climate change will increase females of all different kinds.
Increase
females of all different types, right? Girls, women, and Indigenous women, right? The three.
I thought she said increase violence.
Increase the likelihood that they'll become victims of violence and sexual violence because of climate change. I don't quite get the connection to that. Let's see what else she says.
No.
Australia is committed to achieving gender equality and eliminating sexual and gender-based violence, including during emergencies. Australia is providing funding to train disaster responders to identify and support women and girls experiencing family and domestic violence.
Okay, now maybe, with climate change, this wasn't climate change in this, but the Road Warrior and Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome were made in Australia. And even though it was an energy crisis that caused that, I guess women, when there's a crisis, are more likely to deal with. Is that what they're saying? To become victims of sexual assault?
During and after natural disasters. We stand with Pacific women and girls in responding to the climate crisis, including by providing negotiator training to support women delegates from Pacific Island countries to represent their countries in international climate change meetings. Women and girls in all their diversity must be able to live their lives free of violence. Realising women's and girls' human rights is an important part of securing the future of our planet and a better future for us all. Australia would welcome the panellists' views on good practices addressing violence against women and girls in the context of climate change and the Women, Peace and Security agenda.
Okay, now I'll just say this about, first off, that's just stupid, okay? I mean,
Yeah, that's a big reach.
It is a reach, but that's official policy in Australia. Australia, while it's a continent, is also an island. And I would imagine 90% of the population of Australia live on the ocean, right?
I think so. My uncle lives there, and
yeah, they live on the coast. Everybody lives on the coast.
I'm pretty sure that he said not like 90% of people live along.
Yeah.
Within like probably 30 minutes of the water.
If the seas are rising and climate change is this big threat.
Because in the middle is the outback. You can't really live there.
If the seas are rising due to this climate change threat, the Australian government, wouldn't they be moving their people out of the coastal cities into the outback? Yeah, it doesn't make sense, But these people with climate change, it has just become, it's a religion.
I think for some people it is, but it's a means to control. It's an excuse to control. They need an excuse to pass laws, to pass legislation, to funnel money, to donate, to have money given to this organization, that organization. This will start a whole new thing they got to pay for. And it's all an excuse. They can't come out and tell you, well, we're going to do this because of that. They have to have a reason to give you. And they're attaching climate change to everything now.
Now sex assaults.
It's a fraud. I don't get the connection. And unfortunately, violence against women, violence in general is a part of this world. See, they're not religious. They don't understand this is a fallen world. It has always been violent. It always will be violent. They are not God, but they have a God complex, and they think they can stop the violence. The way to stop violence, or curtail it at least, is put criminals in jail and stop releasing them on the streets like they do in New York, and start being tough on crime. It's amazing how they sit there and tell you that, and I don't know how it is in Australia, but I'm assuming they're woke, but they tell you that they want to stop violence while they're letting criminals out and through the back door that have committed violent crimes. It's incredible to me that they sit there and complain about violence, and that's the reason that there is an uptick in crime. Yeah. It's not the climate. It's because the DAs are letting them all out of jail, at least in this country, but they'll tell you it's climate change instead of telling you. Now, believe me, this is in Australia. This will become a new talking point around the world.
Well, in Australia, they had some of the strictest lockdowns in the world during COVID. So these leftists that run Australia got all that taste of control over the people, and they love it and they enjoy it. Now, Ketanji is now Supreme Court Associate Justice Ketanji. And, everyone in the media that's covering this, they have it all wrong. They're trying to cover it like the first African-American justice on the Supreme Court. She's not the first woman, and she's not the first black person. And what they're missing out, because, it's all this virtue signaling. They're all, the left are all in, we got another checkbox, got another check. They're running out of it. Yeah. They're missing the whole thing. It is no big deal that Ketanji is on the Supreme Court. No one cares, and that's a good thing. That, we have finally, well, not finally, this happened a long time ago, but at this point in American society, okay, by the way, in woke Australia, who's the highest ranking black person in their government? Same goes for you guys in Canada and the UK, all these leftists over there. All the government looks pretty white over there. We've had a black president. We got a black vice president. I didn't like him. I don't like her, but hey. But
I don't know the Aborigine representation in government in Australia. Not very much.
But this thing with Ketanji on the Supreme Court, the news about it is that it's not news. We have a black woman on the Supreme Court, and it's just the way things have happened. No one cares. They want to tell you on the left and in the mainstream media that there's a rise of white supremacy and white nationalism. If that were true, out in front of the Supreme Court today, you would have the Nazis and the white supremacists, because the Nazis, white supremacists, and the white nationalists, they don't like it when there's black people on the Supreme Court, in particular a black woman. Where are they? I'm not saying that there's none of those people in America, but they're so small in numbers, they couldn't even put together a gathering somewhere. And the left just can't let us be post-racial. Like, I remember when Obama won.
Brian, they can't leave anything alone.
No,
they never stop.
They always play the race card.
Poking the bear.
When Obama won in 2008, right? I didn't vote for the guy. I didn't like it. He'd be better than Biden, which is that's how bad Biden is. But when he came out with the first family, it wasn't really a big deal, and people wanted to make it a big deal. We've gotten to the point in society where these things are just naturally happening, and it really does a disservice to her and the memory of Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement to make a big deal that there's a black woman on the Supreme Court. We have a black woman on the Supreme Court, and it's no big deal, and no one cares.
Well, you know why I think they make a big deal out of it? Because they're desperate to prove they're not racist.
Yeah, the
when
Democrats.
They really are, because they always have been, and they're desperate to prove to the world and to themselves that they're not, and that's why they do these things. That's why they appoint these people based on race and gender. Is for that reason, I believe.
Yeah. Now let me play this clip of Biden. This is Biden today. Before he ran away from the reporters, he answered a question. Listen.
How long is it fair to expect American drivers and drivers around the world to pay that premium for this war?
As long as it takes. So Russia cannot, in fact, defeat Ukraine and move beyond Ukraine.
As long as it takes. This is a bunch of nonsense, okay?
There's another thing I just retweeted for you that you should play.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the same clip, but I think it's a continuation of that.
I think it's the same. I think it's the same one.
Well, they got a quote. It's a little different.
Okay, let me play it.
Because of, ultimately, the reason why gas prices are up is because of Russia. Russia. The reason why the food crisis exists is because of Russia. Russia not allowing grain to get out of Ukraine.
Okay.
Russia.
Now, a couple things here. Let me go back to the first one about the gas. As long as it takes. This is not our war. The only reason there's a war going on in Ukraine with Russia is because Joe Biden caused it. Joe Biden started this war. This war is not Putin's fault. It's not Zelensky's fault. It's Biden's fault. When Biden screwed up the withdrawal from Afghanistan in such an incompetent, incoherent, disastrous way, Putin said, we better go in now. America's weak. They can't do anything. And he went. In fact, Putin went in so quick after that, he wasn't prepared, and he's getting whipped by Ukraine. So the war is not Putin's fault. It's Biden's fault. But the other thing about it is, so what? If Ukraine becomes part of Russia, so what? I mean, I guess it's better for them as Ukrainians to be independent, but it's not our fight. It's not our business. And why are we suffering? We've had so many wars. Like I remember, I give you a great example. The first Gulf War in 1991, it was kind of a short war, but there was a long buildup to it. So it was over a year that all that went on. And when Saddam Hussein pulled out of Kuwait, all those were oil-producing regions. And by the way, before we even started sending troops and before Kuwait was invaded, the tankers, the oil tankers in the Gulf over there, in the Persian Gulf, were always being threatened by Iraq and others. And when Saddam was pushed out of Kuwait, he lit all the oil wells on fire in Kuwait. Remember this? I saw an IMAX movie about it. It was amazing. It was called The Fires of Kuwait. He lit all of the oil wells on fire in Kuwait, which is a big oil-producing country. And the fires were so bad, the smoke was global. It traveled across the entire planet. Gas prices didn't go up this much during any of that. Mm-hmm. And the gas prices are going up now because not of Putin and what's going on there. It's what Biden's doing here. I saw a story today that the largest oil field in the United States, Biden is threatening to close it down over some EPA violation.
Yeah, well, now there's a ruling with the EPA, with SCOTUS, that the EPA does not have as much power as they did. They made some ruling today about the EPA.
Yeah.
So I wonder how that will affect that. Because Lauren Boebert just tweeted that the SCOTUS just destroyed the Green New Deal.
I'll get to that in a way. So Biden has driven gas prices up because when he was running,
as long as it takes.
When he was running, he says we're going to get off of fossil fuel, we're going to get off oil. He became president, and he stopped the pipeline. He stopped ANWR. He did all kinds of things that stopped the production of oil. That has driven the cost of oil up, and that's why it's expensive. It has nothing to do with Putin. Now, the other clip, the one that you had me, the second clip you told me to play about the food. We don't get food from Ukraine or Russia unless you order some specialty food. Mm-hmm. You know, like if you got a Ukrainian in the family and they need some special thing from Ukraine, or you're into some special imported vodka from Russia. We are the breadbasket of the world, not Ukraine. I know Ukraine is kind of like the Kansas of that area, but we don't have any need to be importing wheat from Ukraine. I mean, that's absurd.
Say that's true. Why can't they call farmers and get some wheat planted and start making that happen?
Because when you are
my phone's ringing.
When you're trying to control a population, it's like they do in Australia, you control the food, you control their movement.
They're working on that now. Bill Gates is buying all these farms. China's buying all this land, and I think they're looking to the future is to control the population through food and food distribution. And I think that their goal is to, especially Bill Gates, he really is, this is his thing. He's really he's just a weird guy. And I think he's buying up all these farms and all this stuff. And And I know it's a lot of money, but shame on those farmers that are selling their land to these people, because I hope they realize what they're doing. I know they're offering them a lot of money, but they're really setting up the country, I think, for something very bad. And I want to talk about this Cassidy Hutchinson. I don't know if you want to do that now.
Okay.
The media is, they're really trying to sell you on Cassidy Hutchinson because she gave her testimony, and 3 Secret Service men, including the 2 in the car with Trump on January 6th, and this Tony Ortega guy that she supposedly talked to, have all said that she's lying, basically, that what she's saying is not true, never happened. And then you had a Secret Service agent today, another Secret Service agent that doesn't even work with Trump. He said, or he works with Trump, but he wasn't with him. I don't know. I'm not sure. But he said Trump's girth, his size, he would never be able to jump from the back to the front because he said it's so narrow between the seats, the gap, that because he's a big guy, he's like a football player, 6'3", he's like over 200 pounds. He said he would never be able to squeeze through to grab the wheel. That's physically impossible to do. So you have four Secret Service agents disputing her testimony. But the media, it's incredible to me because you are seeing lying in real time right to your face. They are desperate to make her look good and to give her credibility. Every pundit you see, oh, she's very credible. She's a credible person. She's an amazing person. I mean, they're kissing her butt like you wouldn't believe. They have Secret Service willing to testify. They haven't called them yet. The reason they are selling her so hard is because this is their Hail Mary. This is it. They have nothing else. This is the final end game of this committee. This was their ace in the hole, and it totally blew up in their face. Yeah. And they're desperate to get the American people to believe her. I don't know what they were thinking. Didn't they understand these guys would come forward and now they're trying to discredit them, even though
they knew what they knew.
They work for the government. They're Secret Service, but they're liars. Okay. And they were even there in the car.
This Hutchinson testimony, okay, Cynthia Hutchinson, who Brett Baer calls Cassie, which indicates that he knows her, which I thought was very strange when he called her Cassie. I don't know, but he called her Cassie. That means he knows her personally.
Yeah.
So he's, you don't call someone Cassie that you don't know like that. It's very strange.
Yeah. His wife should be worried about that too.
He's probably, he was scoring an interview with her. But anyway, this thing with Hutchinson, okay, she's not a witness because she witnessed nothing.
Yeah, and they keep calling her a witness.
What her testimony is that someone told her these things happened. And by the way, a Secret Service agent who said that he never told her anything like that. So it's hearsay. She didn't witness anything. The other thing is what they did. There's a picture. I retweeted this earlier today on my Twitter, Brian Craig Show on Twitter, Real Brian Craig on Truth, but Brian Craig Show on Twitter. A picture of her hugging Liz Cheney. And, Liz Cheney,
unbelievable.
I believe, has committed the crime of suborning perjury. And this is what they did. They knew about these Secret Service agents, and they didn't call them because they would, under oath in the committee, debunk their entire witness and expose her. But they don't have her technically in their mind, this is what they've told her, perjuring herself because she didn't witness anything.
Right, exactly.
She's relaying what she was told, so she's not perjuring herself. Maybe the person lied to her, but she didn't perjure herself, and they got this false narrative going. Liz Cheney came up with that scheme, okay, for this testimony. That is suborning perjury, and in a couple weeks, I think.
So you think she's behind this script?
Well, by the time, she came up with this whole racket. This is
sounds like something she would fantasize about. Yeah,
and when the election comes around, in fact, when the primary comes around, she's going to lose Liz Cheney.
Oh, for
and
sure.
When the new Congress comes in, she's no longer going to be in Congress. Republicans are not only going to control the Congress, it's going to be a MAGA House. And even though Kevin McCarthy is going to be the official Speaker of the House, the real Speaker of the House is going to be Donald Trump behind the scenes because he is going to have a House of Representatives with a Republican majority filled with MAGA Republicans that are loyal to him. And Donald Trump is going to demand from them, and they're going to do it because it's the right thing to do, to look into this kangaroo committee and what crimes they committed. And Liz Cheney is not going to have protections as being a member of Congress. Like Adam Schiff goes around lying all the time, but he's a sitting member of Congress. You can't do much about that. She'll be out of Congress. They're going to have the records. They're going to go through them. They're going to have hearings, and they're going to find that Liz Cheney committed crimes, including suborning perjury here. And Liz Cheney very well could end up going to jail for this. I don't care who her dad is and how well connected he is. She's not her dad. And she's doing a lot of dirty dealing here. And I think she very well could end up going to prison.
Well, clearly she inherited some traits for her father, mainly being a pathological liar. And I was talking about this today. Just like her dad, sorry, my phone keeps ringing, spam calls I'm getting.
Yeah, mute the phone.
My SpongeBob ringtone. Well, if I do that, I'll forget it's off.
I'll remind you after the show.
Okay. She inherited her father's ability to lie to your face to achieve her goal. Her father lied about weapons of mass destruction, started an unnecessary war that maimed and killed thousands of people here and in the Middle East. There's men still living with the repercussions of that war. He lied to America, lied to everybody so they could profit off this war.
Yep.
What she's doing is no different. Now, it's not a war, theoretically, but she is lying to the American people knowingly to achieve her goal. So she inherited that from her father. It's amazing to me how liberals are. If they admitted that Cassidy Hutchins was lying, they would say to you, well, who cares if she's lying? It's for the greater good. I mean, we can't let Trump back in.
Yeah.
They are totally okay with lying, being lied to, and lying themselves to achieve their goal, no matter what it is. They're totally fine with that. This girl's making up a complete story, completely fabricated. Everybody knows it. And because on the media, they are desperately trying to say she's credible. They're driving it in. They're hammering it into your head. She's very credible. She's really like Michael Avenatti. He was credible too, and now he's in prison. I mean, these people, I always say this, the left need new heroes because all their heroes are lying scum, just like them.
Yeah, and they have another ex-Trump aide, this Farah, whatever her name is, on CNN today, talking about how she helped bring Hutchinson away from the Trump orbit and rescued her, almost like did an intervention, like she helped her escape from a cult.
Give me a break.
And led her to this committee to finally tell the truth. Pam Bondi was on Hannity last night. And by the way, Hannity, let your guests talk, okay? I mean, come on, man. Yeah, but Pam Bondi was talking about after all this happened, Hutchinson called her up here in Florida to help her find a place to live so she could work for President Trump at Mar-a-Lago.
Right.
Now, if Donald Trump is doing these things that she described, choking people and throwing food at walls and everything, why would she want to go work for someone like that?
It's just absurd.
Yeah.
It's just absurd.
Yeah, I mean, it's a joke. Now, I was just reading this terrible thing. With these liberals in their courts, with the Roe v. Wade overturning, a lot of things are going on. A judge here in Florida has blocked a ban on abortions after 15 weeks that was set to go into effect tomorrow. Planned Parenthood, the American Civil Liberties Union, and abortion providers filed suit to stop this, arguing that it violated the state's constitution. Leon County judge, so this isn't a federal judge, this is a county judge, and in Florida,
that's in Tallahassee.
And unfortunately, and this may be true in whatever state you guys are in, but this really burns me, and I wish that Ron DeSantis would change this. Our judges are elected, but they're so-called nonpartisan. So when there's a judge on the ballot, it doesn't tell you whether they're a Republican or a Democrat. And you don't want a Democrat judge because they're pro-crime, okay? You want Republican judges who are anti-crime.
Apparently.
Yeah, and this judge, even though it's nonpartisan, I'm sure he's a Democrat. So
15 weeks isn't enough for this guy?
After
that's
no.
That's how
long? Going
long?
on 4 months.
3.5 almost. That's almost 4 months.
Yeah, at the beginning. Yeah, that's right.
Basically
4 months.
4 months. And that's if a woman doesn't know by then, I mean, that is not enough for this guy. That's pretty sick. 4 months. There is definitely a heartbeat, a formed baby. That is just
that's crazy.
These people are sick.
Ron DeSantis signed the 15-week abortion ban this past April prior to the Supreme Court's reversal. The decision opened the door for states to seek outright abortion bans. Parties opposed to a 15-week ban pushed back against the legislation, saying that the Sunshine State Constitution guarantees the right to an abortion. Really, I doubt that. Their legal challenge leaned on a 1980 amendment that guaranteed a broad right to privacy. They hide behind this right to privacy thing.
The privacy.
Privacy is not abortion.
No, it's not.
The state Supreme Court previously interpreted those rights to include access to abortion. Well, that's because of the Roe v. Wade decision. Under the new law, violators could face up to 5 years in prison if they perform an abortion after 15 weeks.
Judges had so much power over policy that they could just deny. But you see it happening with Biden too. You see judges in Texas blocking him from certain things. I didn't realize federal judges.
Well, this is a county judge that did this.
This is a county judge.
Yeah.
So he can affect the whole state or just Leon County.
Well, I guess the whole state. Yeah, that's at this point,
Well, I'm sure DeSantis will figure something out. He always does.
This is the difference between liberal and conservative judges. Okay, you always hear this thing about legislating from the bench, and there's all these great rulings coming out of the Supreme Court. This ruling against the EPA today, the
that's good. Yeah.
Roe v. Wade, the gun ruling a couple weeks ago. See, these are true constitutional rulings. Before, the court was a legislative body. The justices would make opinions based on how they thought things should be, not what was constitutional. And judges are not supposed to have this kind of power. You're not supposed to be legislating from the bench.
Well, and I see all these Democrats getting upset that the Supreme Court has too much power and all this stuff, but it's okay when a county judge stops Ron DeSantis's law. It's okay for him to do that, but the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, they can't change anything.
Yeah. Now,
have it both ways.
Before we break, I want to tell you guys, I will be making with Steve Kane tomorrow morning on the radio, which will be Friday, some big announcements about the Steve Kane radio show, which are all very good and very positive. I cannot tell you guys now, and this is something I've known about for weeks, and we've not been able to talk about it, which is a very difficult thing because we're in the business of talking, and it's very good news. And when you have really good news, you want to share the good news.
This will be tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning.
All will be revealed.
Tomorrow morning on the radio, Steve Kane and I are going to make some pretty exciting announcements about the Steve Kane Show and the future of the Steve Kane Show. And I put up both on Patreon and on YouTube. I made a post on YouTube, because you can make posts on YouTube like you do like on Facebook or Twitter, like announcements. And I said, Steve Kane and I will be making an announcement tomorrow. And I've been hearing from people throughout the day on DMs and other things that they have all these ideas of what it might be.
Oh, what are some of their ideas?
I don't want to go through what they are because I don't want to end speculation.
I'll have to read those.
But it's fun for me hearing what people have going around in their mind.
You've
about
given them
what's
something
happening
to think about for sure.
But this is something
I know what it is. I've known for a while. I've had to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, in fact, like I said, I've known about these things for several weeks, and I didn't even tell my mother. And I told my mother today, but I didn't tell. I told Kathy.
We just told our family recently.
Yeah, I told Kathy. I told my daughter.
Yeah, we knew,
and that was it. And it's. I'm very good at keeping secrets if I have to, but when you have something exciting to share, it's hard to keep that a secret. But we have to, and I know some of you do know that the our radio station is going through a format change that goes into effect on Monday.
Yes,
and that is only part.
Big changes.
That is only part of what we're sharing. Okay, so it's not the. I'll give you one little hint. It's not just the change in format. There are other things, too, that I'm really excited about. So that'll be on the radio tomorrow. I wish I could tell you now. I've got the okay to tell now, but they want me to do it on the radio tomorrow for the radio listeners. So I can't.
It's a good time. It's a Friday. It's open phones. A lot of people will call in. And
if I tell you guys now, which I've gotten, I mean, at this point, I'm allowed to tell people.
But wait till tomorrow. Tell everybody at the same time.
Yeah, but if I tell people now, you'll put it on social media or be on my YouTube live chat room in the morning, and you'll tell everybody before I do. So they really, even though I've got the okay, they really want me to do it on the radio.
And you want to wait and do it with Steve.
Yeah. So tune into that tomorrow, and
you're waiting till Steve
exciting.
Comes on, or
I'm not. I told Steve really we should do. I was talking to Steve. We really should do this right at 6 a.m.
Yes.
Because if we don't, it's the cat's going to be out of the bag before, because his original thought was, well, announce at 6 that at 8 o'clock we're going to make an announcement. And I told him, I said, well, I think if we do that, people are going to find out about it before 8 o'clock.
What about 7? Can he be there at 7?
I don't. Well, I'll talk to Steve in the morning, but I want to. I've been keeping this a secret for a while, and I want to just tell everybody.
I know. You got to do it with Steve with you, or he'll be not.
No, we'll do it. But I just don't think we can wait till 8, because I think if we wait till 8, the secret
try to
will
get him
out.
to be there at 7. I know,
but yeah, and it's and what it involves has kept me very, very busy. Doing things and doing work the last few weeks. So, it's pretty exciting stuff and some things that, I never dreamed would have happened. So we're going to get into all of that. A big announcement tomorrow morning on the radio. So make sure you tune in tomorrow on the radio, and I'll tell you on the air. All right, listen, we're going to take our break. When we come back, there's a lot more to talk about, though. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
If you love tees, there's an Etsy shop you've got to check out. Yoli Brands on Etsy.com. That's YOLEY. Yoli Brands specialize in quality printed trending shirts. No matter what you're into or what you want to express, they have the t-shirt for it. Yoli Brands have motivational shirts, shirts for nurses, pet enthusiasts, shirts for teachers, nurses, car lovers, Americana, crypto, and that's just the beginning. The styles are modern and they're fun too. All the shirts are high quality and delivered right to your door. And enjoy free shipping. That's right, free shipping. Yoli Brands, YOLEY, on Etsy. Check them out today. Yoli Brands on Etsy. Are you a recent college graduate looking to launch an exciting career? A seasoned professional looking to make a career change? Or even a healthcare worker looking to increase your earning potential? The clinical research industry might just be the perfect fit for you. Clinical research is the area of healthcare science that studies and tests new medical innovations in people. At any given moment, there are over 80,000 clinical research positions available. However, over 70% of these positions don't get filled within 2 months or even at all. Simply put, while the pay is great and there are plenty of jobs available, there is a scarcity of qualified job candidates. And without the right training and connections, it is hard for candidates to enter this field. Vast Clinical Research is opening doors for its students to work in this amazing healthcare industry. Vast Clinical Research provides training and education programs for individuals looking to enter the intriguing career of clinical research. Utilizing research-based accelerated training, coupled with world-class career services, individuals can be trained in 4 to 6 weeks to begin their exciting new career. Whether you are ready to get started or looking to get more information, visit the website vastclinicalresearch.com or call 972-503-9388 to speak with a career counselor today. Are your pants falling down? There is a solution. Skinny Clip. Belts are bulky, uncomfortable, and expensive. Skinny Clip is an easy-to-use waistband tightener for men and women. It can easily work to tighten a belt on pants that are too loose. Maybe you lost some weight and you don't want to buy a new wardrobe. Maybe someone gave you clothes that you love, but they're a little too big. Skinny Clip can make them fit just right. Skinny Clip is a newly patented invention that holds up oversized pants easily and comfortably. It's easy to use, too. Simply slide your waistband, twist, and hook. That's it. It works great on all types of fabric, skirts, slacks, jeans, and shorts. It's perfect for blue jeans that loosen up during the day. It's affordable and available in multiple colors. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Skinny Clip, when you're skinny for yourself. Skinny Clip is available on Amazon. Just search Skinny Clip or visit the website skinnyclip.com.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. Broadcasting from sunny South Florida, Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Tim Allen is a well-known conservative, right? And he's been a well-known conservative for many, many years. And he has spoken out today. We're going to hear from Tim Allen here.
Oh, yes, I read this.
This is amazing. Okay. This woke Disney thing has been getting worse and worse and worse. In fact, what's been going on with Disney has been devastating to the company on many, many levels and losing their city status. The park attendance, no question, is low. I was talking when I did my goodbye vlog on Saturday. The park had very, very low crowds. Saturday during the summer, it was the lowest crowds I've seen at Disney World. Anytime I ever go, it's always on a Saturday. Mm-hmm. And it was the lowest crowds I've seen at Disney World since I did go to the park the first day that it opened back from the COVID shutdown. And there were just like a couple hundred people in the park that day because it was during the highlight of COVID when they first opened up. But other than that, I've never seen crowds this low on a regular day. And people are fed up. And Disney have gotten so woke, they're on a tear against conservatives. So they have this new Toy Story spinoff movie that has been a total box office bomb called Lightyear. And for those that don't know, Buzz Lightyear, the toy, is supposedly based on a real astronaut. So it's about the real astronaut that the toy is based on. And they use Chris Evans, not Tim Allen, to voice it, on top of the fact that there's some liberal things in it. There's a gay kiss. There's some brief nudity. They show Buzz Light. Somebody
said that's not true. It was photoshopped, but I don't know.
I've seen it in the trailer.
I've seen it in several.
I've seen it in the trailer. No, don't buy that. They may have since edited it out because it was too much, but it was in there. But there's a gay kiss in there, and Disney did not use Tim Allen, who was the voice of Buzz Lightyear, because he's a well-known vocal conservative. And, the thing about Tim Allen, everyone loves Tim Allen. He's a good guy. And in his youth, he did a stint in prison on drug charges. Mm-hmm. And, and I don't hold anything against Tim Allen because of that. He was a young man. He's a good guy. I love Tim Allen.
I love Tim Allen.
Everybody loves Tim Allen.
He's hilarious.
But Disney, they won't use him to voice his iconic character because he's a conservative. But Disney had no problem having him voicing children's movies, even though he had drug conviction and was in prison. So there's no doubt that they didn't use him to do this because they are at war against conservatives. And that's why I'm not going back. I mean, and if you haven't watched my YouTube video yet, please do, saying goodbye to Disney. This is in the Daily Mail. Tim Allen has slammed the underperforming Toy Story spinoff film Lightyear after the conservative star was replaced, voicing the character by Chris Evans, who's Captain America, right? The 69-year-old actor.
And who's very woke.
Yeah, he is. By the way. He
Annoyingly so.
It probably is very difficult for Chris Evans to wear the Captain America uniform because as a wokester, he hates America,
That's true.
The 69-year-old actor, Tim Allen, blasted the film, which recently flopped on opening weekend, in an interview on Extra. He said he personally liked the story, but he criticized the film's lack of continuity to the beloved Toy Story franchise and his exclusion from the project by the new team, as he describes them, at the helm of Disney. It's a wonderful story. It just doesn't seem to have any connection to the toy, Tim Allen said. It has no relationship to Buzz. We talked about this many years ago, but the brass that did the first 4 movies is not this. It's a whole new team.
That's right.
And so he has no connection to it.
He was in talks with the original team because he had known about this, and they obviously had talked to him about this. And so I said before to you, I thought it was a good idea to do an origin story because Buzz Lightyear is based on a real person, but you have to give the person it's based on the attributes of the toy, because if it's based on that person's going to be like that toy.
Yeah.
So what he is saying is that the idea was good, but the character, the person that it's based on, really has no similarities to the connection to the toy or the
way you would do it is Tim Allen would voice the character.
Yeah.
And then because
have a similar personality.
And because he's such a hero when he returns to Earth at the end of the movie, you see him sign a merchandising deal.
Right, something like that.
To do the voice for a toy based on him. You know what I mean?
Buzz Lightyear's very funny because I think there's a lot of Tim Allen jokes in there. I'm sure he helped write some of the jokes. He is a comedian, and Buzz is like the comic relief in a lot of Toy Story scenes. He's always funny. He's got a quick wit and funny lines.
And Disney.
And apparently, this movie wasn't funny
Disney
at all.
has a whole land that's called Toy Story Land, and Tim Allen's throughout. And there's no doubt that the new people at Disney, they cut him out because he is a conservative. I believe he went to Trump's inauguration, if memory serves.
Well, they are giving him his own show. He is doing a Santa Claus show on Disney Plus. Yeah. I don't know if it's a limited series, but it has to do with him passing the torch to a new.
Yeah, they want to get rid of him.
Claus.
They want to get rid. But and that that
I don't know.
But they cut him out of this movie because he's a conservative.
I think so.
And the thing about it is Disney has different divisions. So like their animation division, that's where all the groomers are. So that you saw in that Zoom video.
Could be different than
so it's different people that do the animation that do the live action. So the animation groomers, if Disney goes out of business, they don't care. They just have their agenda. A couple other things have been going on.
I just am wondering something really crazy. Do you think Disney is trying to put Walt Disney World out of business so they can move the park? Are there benefits to a company to go bankrupt?
No.
I mean, would you hold it past these liberals to bankrupt the parks to say, all right, we're going to rebuild somewhere else?
They have a bunch of woke groomers over there in California at Disney. They've never built anything. I know they have stock in the company probably with their packages, but they didn't start the company. They don't care. They figure animation will go. They don't. To them, I'll give you an example. CNN and MSNBC have been tanking in the ratings for years.
Oh, yeah.
They don't change what they're doing to bring in more viewers, right? Rachel Maddow leaves, they bring in another liberal jerk. So that's how that is. Because liberals believe that the ideology trumps everything. Let me get back to this, though, with Disney, because there's a lot going on here. So when we talk about the groomers in the animation division, there's no doubt about it. And I got to tell you something. This is such a disgrace because Disney is a 100-year-old, very traditional American company, and it's been hijacked. There's a new cartoon. This comes out of the animation division again.
Big Hero 6.
Based on the movie Big Hero 6. The character
is a great movie.
Baymax has his own show on Disney Plus. I saw this on Twitter this morning. And this is a children's show for kids 3 years old and up, maybe even 2. Baymax. And Baymax is very popular among kids. Baymax, for some reason, in this new children's cartoon, you can find this on Twitter, this clip, goes to the grocery store to buy tampons and maxi pads.
With a little 12-year-old girl. Yeah. That just got her period.
That's right. And the women in the store are helping Baymax pick out the tampons and maxi pads, and then a transgendered gay guy tells him which pads he prefers. Very bizarre. They also
because men get periods now.
Also, the animation division. Keep in mind, these things we're talking about are all the animation division. The animation division has a movie that is on Disney Plus right now called Red. I did not know what this was about, and we watched this. This was a couple months back. Red is a cartoon on Disney Plus. The red is the red of the menstrual blood. Yeah. It's about a girl getting her period.
The whole movie is about a girl getting her period and she turns into a red panda when she reaches a certain age, and it's a family thing. I liked the movie because it was very funny and very relatable as a girl, but I told Brian
it's not appropriate,
but
well, they did,
it was a little too adult in some areas. There was a scene where the main character who is like 12 or 13, you could tell she was actually getting sexually aroused. And looking at photos of this boy band, and she was getting all hot and sweaty, and I thought, this is really strange. And the whole movie is really about her going through puberty. I'm not saying it's not a topic that shouldn't be discussed. It's a part of life, and girls are younger and younger getting their periods now. So I'm not saying it shouldn't be dealt with at all. But it's the whole theme of the movie, and it seems like Disney has an obsession with menstrual periods now.
Well, the entire animation division at Walt Disney, I have the biography of Walt Disney, the definitive biography of Walt Disney. The book is as thick as the New York City phone book in 1975.
It's as thick as Bill Clinton's biography.
Yeah, it's a very thick book, but it goes through he revolutionized animation. He did Walt Disney himself did the very first full-length animated movie,
Snow White.
So and came up with all of the animation of that era, and it's really amazing. And now what's happened is it's been taken over by, and I know a lot of people say this a lot. I don't. It's been taken over by a bunch of pedo groomers, the animation division, and what they're doing is disgusting.
Well, they've been involved in the animation aspect for decades. They would sneak in little. You've told the story when Emily was little. She loved The Little Mermaid. It was her. I mean, she literally watched it 10 times a day. She would act it out. Brian had to play Ursula. I mean, it was like a whole thing. It was really cute.
I didn't get dressed up in a costume.
No, but he played the part while Emily played off. It was cute.
I don't want people to think I was like in drag.
No. But you would just do the lines with Emily. It was really, you're a good dad. But so we got Emily a poster of The Little Mermaid to hang in her room.
Well, the movie poster, the original movie poster.
The original movie poster. And then we had read an article or read somewhere, we didn't even notice this, that in the castle in the back were drawn penises.
Well, what they did was a gay
animator.
A gay animator for Disney. What he did with Ariel's undersea castle, the towers were
Eric's castle. Eric's castle.
Well, the castle whatever castle.
Oh, maybe it was Triton's.
I think it was whichever of the two castles it was. Ariel in The Little Mermaid, the castle, the towers were all penises.
Not all, but there were a couple.
No. In the original, they were penises, I think it was one or two. And this was released. So Disney actually released the movie. Okay, they released the movie with these posters, and the movie theaters had the penis castle posters all over it. And when this came, they didn't know it got through. And when it went public, Disney pulled all the posters and changed it.
And we got rid of it too. And if you watch Pinocchio, so this whole thing, pedos are drawn to where children are. If you watch the movie Pinocchio, because when we got Disney Plus, we watched it. I hadn't seen it since I was a kid, and I didn't like it in kindergarten when I saw it, and I sure as hell didn't like it when I saw it as an adult. There are definitely pedophile undertones. I'm not saying with Geppetto, but with this guy who has an island full of runaway boys called Paradise Island, and I'm like, this is creepy. This guy kidnaps boys and takes them to Paradise Island where they all live, and there's no girls, and I'm like, this is a little strange. So I think Disney, because it's related to children, has always drawn pedophiles. They have arrested many pedophiles working for Disney over the last few years. There've been rings of pedophile rings where you have 5 or 6 Disney employees. Pedophiles are drawn to children. They're going to go where children are. So maybe they've just hired more unknowingly, or I don't know what's going on, but there's definitely, the tone has definitely changed.
Yeah, there's at
Disney over the last few years.
It's getting worse. In fact, when Disney Plus first came out, I got it. And the reason I got it was we were on one of our listener cruises, and The Mandalorian was debuting. So I got it, and I watched The Mandalorian on Disney Plus on my iPhone on the cruise ship. And, of course, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. You guys listen all the time.
The Mandalorian's amazing.
And it's only available on Disney Plus. Disney Plus had a movie, not a movie, they had a short animated series. Again, all of this is coming from the Disney animated division. This is where the groomers are.
It seems like they've been infiltrated. It's really weird.
They had a short animated series when Disney Plus first went live called Out, about a guy coming out.
It's still on.
And it's still there. And I told Kathy, I said, what is this doing? This is not appropriate. And I saw an interview with, it wasn't an interview. No, it was in that leaked Zoom, that leaked Disney Zoom from a few months ago.
Yeah.
One of the animators talked about how for years.
That's what I said.
The characters, okay, with
they
those.
Were sneaking things in.
Well, the things they sneak in, the background characters that oftentimes don't move or talk, like if someone's running and they run by a restaurant, there'll be same-sex couples at the table having dinner together, things like that you don't see. Mm-hmm. And now they've gotten more bold, and they're continuing to do it. Now, there was another happening involved.
Well, before you move on, the reason they're getting more bold is because they have a captive audience with children. And a lot of parents, and we did this with Emily, would plop their kid down in front of a Disney movie so they can go clean the house or do paperwork while their kid's mesmerized for 90 minutes, because that's a good way to keep your kid busy while you go vacuum or cook dinner or whatever. They have a captive audience, and it's the reason that bothers me it's not as much, it's the messaging is bad, but it's the motivation behind the messaging. Yeah. It's brainwashing. They want to get children used to certain things at a very, very early age, so it becomes a totally normal part. And I'm not saying you should never introduce these topics, but not to 5-year-olds, okay? These are cartoons that are targeting young children, elementary school children.
Yeah.
If you want to address these topics in shows like Hannah Montana or a live action show that's a tween or a teenage audience, that to me is a little different. But when you are targeting, they are purposely using cartoons because cartoons are what kids want to watch. That's the audience is little kids.
There's a lot of problems going on at Disney, but most of it is through this cell of groomers they have in the animation division. Now, there's one other thing here that I want to mention. This is really upsetting. This is really upsetting to me and everything that's going on. And I was, when I made that vlog on Saturday that I'm saying goodbye to Disney, Disney, going to Disney World, when I go to Disney World, 99% of the time I go to the Magic Kingdom, the original park. And the reason that is, I'm not originally from Florida. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I've lived in Florida most of my life, but I'm not from Florida originally. And when I was a little kid in Ohio, going to Disney World was like the greatest thing a guy could probably do. And on my first trip to Florida was in '76 when I was 5. I came to Florida with my mother and her parents. And I didn't realize everything at the time, but my parents were divorcing. And I guess my mom needed to get out of town for a while to deal with all that. I don't know what was going on. And we came to Florida. And I got to do two things when I was 5 years old that were just like the most incredible thing for a kid at that time. We got to go to Disney World. And then my mom and grandparents took me to see in person the Howdy Doody show, which filmed at the Jackie Gleason Theater in Miami Beach. And I was in the Peanut Gallery. And I got to do that in the same summer. And when I went back to Ohio, all my friends just thought I was the coolest kid, around. Yeah. I went to Disney World and I was in the Peanut Gallery on the Howdy Doody show. And for me, Disney World is very nostalgic. It's when I go there. And when I go there, like I say, I always go to the Magic Kingdom. They have a lot of things there. I always do pretty much the same things. All things I did on my first trip. Space Mountain, Pirates of the Caribbean, and the Haunted Mansion. And the Jungle Cruise. And that's sometimes all I do, and then I leave. And it's just a nostalgic thing. And for me to give that up is a big deal. And then we found something out Sunday morning. We watch a lot of YouTubers, okay? And there's a YouTuber that we've watched for years that went so far over the line that I unsubscribed to them. And
pretty shocking.
And I know a lot of people say, "Oh, you unsubbed somebody." I don't do stuff like that lightly. I just, I'm not always unsubbing people and throwing off displays. People have to really go over the line for me to say, I can't handle this anymore. There's a YouTuber called the Tim Tracker, who I've always had a lot of respect for until
you've been
this
following
weekend.
him for years.
Yeah, this guy, the Tim Tracker, is a very interesting guy, okay? He's done something with his wife that went over the line, though, over the weekend. It involves the Roe v. Wade decision, so I'll get to that in a second. What he does is he's a theme park vlogger, and he really is, he lives in Orlando. He really is I know there's a lot of theme park vloggers. He was the first one. He was the first theme park vlogger. He went not just to Disney World, but all the Orlando theme parks, SeaWorld, Universal, Busch Gardens, and Tampa. And he was the first one to do this. He has over 800,000 subscribers, and he is very wealthy. He's probably a millionaire or close to it. And I've been watching this guy for years, and when he first started vlogging many years ago, he couldn't even afford to buy food in the park to eat lunch. I mean, he was flat broke. And he and his wife have made they're very, how rich some of these YouTubers can get. I'm on YouTube. I'm not one of those. But, a lot of these YouTubers are really loaded. And he and his wife, they travel the world. They go to Japan. They go on Disney cruises and they stay in the biggest suites. That's like a $20,000 suite for a weekend cruise. Not even a full week. And I was kind of looked at them as this just incredible American success story. Very poor, nothing going on, and now they're rich and they're living the life, and it's like the American dream. And the Tim Tracker did something over the weekend that is disgusting to me, that I just am really I can't get beyond this.
It's been a bad week for you and Disney.
Well,
sure.
It sure has. Sunday,
I mean, you have to ban the park from your life, and now you're the favorite Disney vlogger.
Well, let me share with you guys
who inspired you to do Disney vlogs.
Let me share with you guys what this guy did, the Tim Tracker. And we got a message from a person who watches this on YouTube Sunday morning and say, "Are you going to talk about the Tim Tracker video?" We didn't know what happened, so we looked it up.
We do a Disney podcast.
Yeah, Tim Tracker and his wife did a live stream on YouTube on Saturday raising money for Planned Parenthood. He has 880,000 subscribers, and they said that they would match dollar for dollar the money that—
see how much money they've made so far.
The money that their viewers donated during the live stream, and they've kept it going. And they've raised quite a bit of money. What's the latest count, Kathy? Can you pull it up on that video? Because I think they may have stopped it because it was getting so high.
They have raised $22,549 so far. They're going to match that. So that's
almost
$45,000.
So they have, because they're matching it. They're so rich they can afford to match that, right? They have raised $45,000 for Planned Parenthood since Saturday.
Just over $45,000.
So I want you to think about that. $45,000 they've raised, and that's just too much for me. And too
much money, or just the promotion itself is too much?
What they did is so wrong. It's just so wrong.
Oh, and she was like, his wife Jen was like crying over this Roe v. Wade, and they gave a lot of misinformation too, which is going around. Even Hillary Clinton said it, that women are going to die because they can't get abortions, which is absurd. No woman who has a pregnancy that's endangering her life is going to be refused medical care. This is not for that. This is, and no state has abolished that. Those are different procedures. And I've heard from many OBGYNs on social media that have clarified this. But they were telling people women are going to die. This is so dangerous. And what cracks me up the most is when people say this is a human rights issue.
Yeah.
How can they? I don't understand how they rationalize this in their mind, that it's a human rights issue when they're ending life.
Yeah.
The point of an abortion is to end life. That is its sole purpose. How can you say that you're not like committing murder, basically, when you are ending life? What do you think ending life means?
Yeah.
It is not some abstract thing. You are literally, life begins at conception, all right? That's what I believe. But say you believe life begins with a heartbeat, okay? That's 6 weeks.
Yep.
So say you decide, 6 weeks is the cutoff because it's a heartbeat, okay? She's not like that, and most people think it should be whenever a woman decides, even up to 9 months, which is sickening. Life stops when your heart stops. That's when your life officially is over, okay? So, and we can all agree on that. That is science. Well, it is also science that your life begins scientifically, if you want to say, when your heart starts beating. That's when it starts pumping blood, and that's it. You can make that argument if you want. So if you're ending that, if you're stopping that heart from beating, you are ending that life, period. If you have an abortion, the life is over. That is what it does. It is nothing else but ending a life. I don't know how women like her or other women can say it's human rights. That's just bizarre to me.
Yeah, and
so we stopped watching
and seeing them,
and many people have too.
And seeing them having raised $45,000 for Planned Parenthood over the weekend, that's just too much. And I unsubscribed to their channel because, and I'm not going to watch their channel anymore. And the reason I'm not subscribed or watching it is because the money that they're matching is money that they're making from us watching the videos, and I just cannot support what they're doing, which is giving money to Planned Parenthood to do what it is that they do. If you want to check this out, again, the name of the channel is The Tim Tracker, and I'm really disappointed in him because I've watched him for many, many years and always been a strong supporter.
Let me give the name of their video. The title is...
Oh, it's a great title.
It's from... That's 5 days ago. So 5 days from before here. Live show. Let's catch up. Let's help raise money for Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
That's the title.
It's crazy.
It has had, they've raised $22,000. And let me see how many views it's had. It has had 64,000 views. So
yeah, I mean,
very interesting.
And
we did a Disney podcast.
And I'll say this, okay? Like I say, I'm not subscribed. I'm not watching. It's okay for you to go and watch this video that we're talking about, so that you can see what it is that they did. And I would not mind hearing your thoughts on their video. They're fun. It was like a telethon. It was like a Jerry's Kids telethon for Planned Parenthood
in real time.
It was so bizarre. Now listen, we're going to take our last break and come back. Don't go anywhere. My name's Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
Everyone has a unique gift, and Mike and Diana, host of the One Life podcast, believe that most people don't know how to use their gifts or what they are. Mike and Diana want you to see things from a different perspective and be true to yourself. The One Life podcast unites the world through art, fashion, music, and film. It inspires, motivates, and creates positive energy, love, and compassion to all communities and creates an equal playing field for all. On the One Life podcast, they cover topics like building relationships, overcoming adversity, habits of healthy people, and much, much more. We only have one life to live. Be yourself and live your truth. Add the One Life podcast to your playlist. That's the number one NE Life. Available on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and your favorite podcast platform. When it comes to the latest tech, fashion, beauty, home goods, and more, you want what's trendy, and you want a good deal, too. The online shop, trendypicktoday.com, has all the latest and greatest items on sale at fantastic prices. From PCs to smartphones, Apple Watches, and more, they got it all. Kitchen appliances, baby care, skincare, electronics, fashion for both men and women, fitness items as well. This is your one-stop shop for the trendiest items everyone is talking about. You can get it all at trendypicktoday.com. Make sure to check out their special offers and big deals. Visit trendypicktoday.com and start saving today. trendypicktoday.com. Brian Craig here with a huge announcement from the Thomas Edison of sleep, the inventor of the MyPillow, Mike Lindell. And MyPillow are now offering a BOGO extravaganza on multiple MyPillow items. Right now at MyPillow.com with our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E at checkout, buy one, get free pricing on MyPillow bed sheets, Giza Elegance MyPillows, the 6-piece MyPillow towel set, and the MyPillow Roll and Go Anywhere MyPillows, and so much more. Just go to MyPillow.com. Click on the radio listener specials. Use the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout or call toll-free 800-716-4879. 800-716-4879. The BOGO Extravaganza at MyPillow.com with the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout. And with each purchase for free, you will get a copy of Mike Lindell's autobiography. Call 800-716-4879. 800-716-4879. Or go to the radio listener special page at MyPillow.com and use the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Thank you so much, everyone. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Wesley, Rick, and Nick. These are our top Patreon supporters. If you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there is a link in the description of this and every episode. I saw this bizarre story today. Listen to this. One of the co-creators of the 90s show Friends is apologizing for the lack of diversity on Friends and says she is putting her money where her mouth is to make a difference in improving racial justice issues. Marta Kaufman, who co-created the show about a group of 6 close friends living in New York City, told the LA Times in an interview that she used to get irritated by the criticism that the show received for its lack of diversity at the time and felt it was being unfairly singled out. It was difficult and frustrating, Kaufman says. Today, however, Kaufman says the critiques about racial representation in the show were fair and a byproduct of her own internalized systemic racism.
Oh, my gosh.
She also noted that the murder of George Floyd and the racial justice protests that followed opened her eyes to the greater problem. I've learned a lot in the last 20 years, Kaufman told The Times. Admitting and accepting guilt is not easy.
Wow. White liberal guilt.
Yeah. It's painful looking at yourself in the mirror. I'm embarrassed that I did not know better 25 years ago. The racial reckoning in 2020 inspired the Friends co-creator, who also created Netflix's Grace and Frankie, to donate $4 million.
Another show with no
to
black people.
Establish an endowed professorship in the African American Study Department at her alma mater, Brandeis University. The position will support a scholar concentrating in the study of the peoples and cultures of Africa. And it goes on. I mean, come on.
That'll solve all their problems.
Exactly.
There's plenty of shows. Real Housewives of Atlanta, there's no white women on that show. It's all black women hanging out together. I don't care.
I thought they had a white housewife.
Not anymore. They got rid of her.
Oh, really?
They had the token white. They got rid of her, Kim Zolciak, years ago. There's shows on BET. There's all kinds of shows that have an all-black cast, no white people. I don't care. Does anybody care? First of all, it's absurd that a group of people that are friends that are all white, that's implying that they're bigots.
Exactly.
I mean, there's not groups of friends that are all Caucasian or all black or all Asian. Of course there are. I remember when Emily was.
Well, what about Crazy Rich Asians?
Exactly. I mean, that's a whole Asian thing. They all hang out.
What about
with
What's
Asians.
Happening?
Exactly. I mean, it's just absurd. And for her to say,
what about the Cosby Kids?
White guilt.
Exactly. I mean, come on.
It's just ridiculous.
Now,
I don't know why the left is so obsessed with race. I don't think about that kind of stuff. In fact, on the Jeffersons, they had one white guy. They did have Mr. Bentley. Yeah. And Tom, and they were the butt of so many jokes. But I used to think it was funny. It didn't offend me at all. No. These young people have no sense of humor. She's not young; she's our age. But this is just white liberal guilt, and she's looking back on her life. And she's, this show, Friends, aired like 30 years ago.
Yeah, it was that long ago? 25?
Well, the mid-90s, almost 30 years ago.
Yeah, I guess so.
We're getting old. And this was before woke. Nothing was woke, okay? Nobody thought about that kind of stuff on this level. And I remember her getting a lot of backlash for that. People were upset about it. But like I said, there's plenty of shows on other networks that have all black casts now, and nobody seems to care.
Blackish and all that stuff.
Exactly. It's not an issue.
It's ridiculous. Now, this has been the week of disappointment for me. There's an editorial that's getting a lot of play, and it's this one's upsetting to me. The headline in this editorial: Trump proven unfit for power again. I want to read through this editorial, but what I'm upset about is not the content. Of course, Trump is perfect as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you guys. I love President Trump. I mean, there's no.
That's true.
But what I'm disappointed in is this editorial appears in the Washington Examiner, and let me tell you, the Washington Examiner it's a real newspaper. Okay, it's in Washington, of course, and it's a conservative newspaper that I have been a reader of for I don't know how many years. I don't remember not looking at the Examiner. So I've been at least since the 90s. And the Washington Examiner, I just have always been a strong supporter. It's had great content, and now they're part of the Never Trumpers, and it's about the Hutchinson testimony. Let me read this. This is really disgusting, and I'm sharing this because there's an all-out assault by the Never Trumpers in the Republican establishment to cancel Donald Trump, and we need to know who they
why
are.
That is?
Because he's winning all these primaries.
Because he's winning all these primaries, and they're getting completely panicked.
Yeah.
And we're getting close to November where he's going to announce his run. And once that cat is out of the bag, they're in trouble. You know what I mean? So they're really ramping things up now because
he's running the party.
He's exactly running the party.
And a former president,
they're panicking over all these wins.
A former president, usually they go retire, and they don't. And President Trump, he's got his second term, of course, coming, but in 24. But that's what's got them panicked. But listen to this. This is just, I'm so disappointed in the Washington Examiner, but you got to put them on the list of sources not to trust.
List is getting longer and longer.
Well, it is. Former White House aide, this is the editorial in the Washington Examiner I'm reading from. Former White House aide Cassidy Hutchinson's Tuesday testimony ought to ring the death knell for former President Donald Trump's political career. Trump is unfit to be anywhere near power ever again. Hutchinson's resume alone should establish her credibility. The 25-year-old had already worked at the highest levels of conservative Republican politics, including the offices of Ted Cruz, Steve Scalise, before becoming a top aide. Okay, this is the thing. President Trump and Kellyanne Conway, and maybe Pam Bondi last night. I'm not sure about Pam Bondi, but President Trump and Kellyanne Conway referred to her as a leaker. And now that we're getting a little more background, see, I've never trusted Ted Cruz, okay? Ted Cruz, his father was with Lee Harvey Oswald before the assassination of President Kennedy. Ted Cruz came up through the Kennedys. His family goes back to the Bushes from his father's Lee Harvey Oswald days, okay? So I like Ted Cruz's comments and everything sometimes, but I don't trust him. He's a Bushy. He's an establishment guy, and he's kind of like a Donnie Brasco type because, you know, a lot of MAGA like him, you know. But now it's starting to make sense. I believe that Hutchinson came from Ted Cruz's orbit to spy on Trump at the White House. They planted her there because they need somebody inside. And a low-level person like this, who's an aide to a top guy, the chief of staff, they hear a lot of things. They overhear a lot of conversations. They know what's going on. And
I certainly think we know that Obama was spying on Trump even when he was campaigning. So I'm sure they put a lot of people in there.
And the reason she was trying to get that job in Mar-a-Lago when Trump ended his first term is she wanted to continue the spy operation.
Then the thing that's so interesting about these spies is there's nothing to report, so they make it up.
Yeah.
They're spying, but there's no intel, no juicy stuff that they can actually give people.
That's right.
But they have to deliver something, so they make up stories. And they are really desperate, like I said, to make this girl sound credible. Why is her age so important? What 25-year-old is credible in this world? I mean, a 25-year-old is credible. They're children. Yeah. They're kids. They don't know anything. She probably doesn't even have a mortgage. She probably doesn't even have a boyfriend. I mean, you know, and she was desperate to work for Trump. This is what happened. She was desperate to work for Trump. Pam Bondi said she loved Trump. He rejected her, and she's a woman scorned. Yeah. Period. Yeah. Just like that other
she's
woman
a leaker
that was on The Apprentice that accused him of sexual harassment after she begged him for a job and he told her no. That's what happens. That's what women do. But we're in this culture where all women should be believed. Let me tell you, a lot of women are liars.
Well, that's over now with Amber Heard. All women should be believed. Things kind of out the window.
That's a movement that's been going on.
Yeah. So, you know, so the Washington Examiner, this is so disappointing to me. They've gone the way of the Weekly Standard.
Well, I wanted to say one more thing before we end the show that I read this article. It's very interesting. Men are rushing out to get vasectomies now. All of a sudden, men are being responsible. See, abortion allows men to be irresponsible with their sperm. But now that abortions are becoming harder to get, men are actually being responsible now. I'm not saying they have to run out and get vasectomies, but, you know, at least they're thinking here. It says here, this guy who grew up in Central Florida always knew he didn't want children. But after the Supreme Court ruling, he rushed to get a vasectomy. He scheduled it for Monday. Why would anybody be interviewed for this? He's going to a urologist, snip, snip. He said, it's something I put on the back burner of my mind until recently when the Supreme Court decision happened. This guy's 27 years old. That was basically the triggering factor right there. It pushed my mind. Okay, I don't want children. I'm going to get this vasectomy. I commend this guy for being responsible, and it really should not have taken Roe v. Wade for it to happen, because I'm wondering how many women has he impregnated and how many women have had to make that choice because of his irresponsibility. Yeah. This tells me that this is a guy who will not wear condoms.
Yeah.
So he is going to have a surgical procedure so he does not have to wear condoms anymore. But why did it take the overturning of this law for him to finally be a responsible person?
Yeah.
You know, that's what's really disturbing,
that's true.
because they would put all the responsibility on the women, and women gladly, part of this movement, women would gladly take on that responsibility, which I always thought was so stupid. For the last 50 years, all you've heard is women say, if you're a man, if you don't have a uterus, you have nothing to say about this. It's my body. It's my decision. Why would a woman want to take on that whole responsibility by herself? It's his baby too. But now that Roe v. Wade has been overturned, you have all these women asking men for help now. You have Maria Shriver, you have Meghan Markle, you have other famous women that are coming out saying, men need to step up. Men need to fight for this. Men need to say something. So after 50 years, all of a sudden, men have a voice. Men have a dog in this fight.
And they have,
give me a break.
And they've finally gotten back to what a man and a woman are. They got the definitions right all of a sudden.
When it's convenient for them.
Exactly.
When it's convenient for them. But I thought that's interesting. So if you're a man and you absolutely positively, I think vasectomies can be reversed though. But if you absolutely positively do not want to have children, do the responsible thing like this guy, get things snipped down there, and you won't have to put a woman in the uncomfortable position of having to worry about that if she does not want kids.
Yeah, and you wives out there, if your husband all of a sudden wants to get a vasectomy out of the blue, you should start wondering what that's all about.
Well, unless it's her idea, maybe she doesn't want to get pregnant.
You guys know what I mean.
But, I don't understand why. I was reading this story of this woman who was upset about Roe v. Wade. She was pregnant with her 5th child. She wanted to get her 4th kid aborted. She actually admitted this in an interview, and they had her name because she couldn't afford the kid. She ended up having the kid for some reason. She changed her mind, and now she's pregnant for her 5th time. She was definitely going to abort this kid, but now she can't. Boo-hoo. Why the hell did this woman not get her tubes tied? When you have a baby, of course, I've never had one, but I know people who have, they can easily you can get your tubes tied. It's a very quick procedure. A lot of women get it done after they've had a child. They'll just go in and they do it right there. So you can never get pregnant again. If you absolutely do not want to have any more children and you're giving birth, tell your doctor, just give me get the tubes tied. I don't want any more kids. Why would you keep impregnating yourself? Because abortion is an option, and it's treated as birth control for these women. It's like no big deal.
True.
It's like going out and getting a carton of milk. Oh, I'll stop off on the way home from the grocery store and have an abortion, and I'll be home in an hour.
Yeah, well, listen, we're all out of time, guys. We'll be back next time. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
From professional jockey and author Olivier Deleuze comes the book, The Perfect Athlete, available on Amazon. The author's 33 years of riding horses and winning over 1,400 races around the world. He knows that nutrition is the key to his success. He's put his decades of nutrition experience in this must-read book for all athletes at every level, whether you're a beginning cyclist, a hobbyist marathon runner, or a prize-winning racer. What you eat not only fuels you, but defines your athletic performance. When you read The Perfect Athlete, you will learn the foundations of sports nutrition, learn what professional athletes eat to maintain their physique, and change the way you think about food. Eat better and be the best. Order your copy of The Perfect Athlete from professional jockey and author Olivier Deleuze on Amazon. Available in Kindle, paperback, and audiobook.